ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the show this afternoon. Today is Thursday, the 19th of March, 2020, and welcome to the show. Listen, tell you what happened. Making my cereal this morning, and a couple cans of canned milk on the table, and I was going to throw away. There's one can I was going to go throw in the garbage because it's been there for a few days. And there's a newer can, I accidentally got the old can. Didn't notice it. Dumped it in my cereal. Made my cereal up. Took about 2 bites, Oh, my gosh. Oh, it tastes awful. Oh, what did I do? I poisoned myself. Oh, no. So I thought real quick, and I said to myself, well, okay, that stuff, I only took a bite, maybe a bite, about a bite full of it, It was, before I tasted it, it was off, I said to myself, that stuff probably full of bacteria. I said to myself, what'll I do? I got any activated charcoal pills in the house? No, I ran out of those. And there's a bottle of vodka up in the shelf above the kitchen table. So I grabbed that, took a couple big swigs of it, and my logic was that alcohol will go down in there and kill the bacteria, because I didn't have nothing else on my stomach because it was in the morning time, So I just took a couple swigs, not very much, but enough I figured to kill the bacteria in my stomach. Now I remember why I don't drink, Anyway, I got a little bit of a headache right now from that. And now I remember why I don't drink. Or I drink very little. I just keep it, and for medicinal purposes, I keep a bottle hanging around. But, I mean, it's been hanging around there for 6 months, and I never took any out of it till today, But, well, maybe it'll help. I don't know. I just figure that's the way it works. I mean, if my stomach's empty, and I drank a tiny little bit of bacteria, the vodka should kill it. Other than a little bit of a headache right now, I feel okay. So my stomach, I'm not throwing up or anything. So my stomach, it must have did the trick, Anyway, listen, let's talk about this virus. I heard on Chris Martinson's channel about a report that they did in Italy, where they said up to 75% of the people are asymptomatic. And they only found out about that because they tested like 3,000 people at random. That's very important, though. That changes everything. If this thing's going out there and spreading through the population in an asymptomatic way, and most people don't even know, they feel fine, but they're carrying the virus. Maybe they'll never show any symptoms. Maybe they'll never know they ever had it. And what percentage of the population and how far advanced is this virus really? Because the people that are showing up, that they're actually putting a check mark, yes, this guy's got it, and it goes on the list, and then we see it in the numbers of the people who have the virus. If this is the case, this might be only representing a very small amount of the people, or a very small portion of the people that actually get sick enough to go in and say, hey, you know what, test me. It could be that this virus has already spread much further than we could ever imagine. And if that's the case, we're far more advanced toward getting herd immunity than a lot of people think, And this virus might be far more advanced in the world, and it might be far more contagious. Now, I'm just speculating here. But it might be extremely contagious, and maybe it's already advanced to a certain point. I mean, goodness knows, if that's the case, and 75% of the people there don't even know they have it, well, I mean, you're watching this show. You might have caught it, or I might have caught it, or anybody, and don't know you have it, and you might never know you have it, because you might get over it, and it might stay asymptomatic the whole time. Or it might manifest itself as just a little head cold or something, something that you wouldn't go in for to get tested. And maybe it's sweeping through the population a lot faster than we think, and maybe it's only a very small percentage. This means that it might be a much smaller percentage of the people who actually get it bad enough to go in and get tested, and even a smaller minority of people who are weak or sick or elderly that are actually... Now, I'm no way downplaying this virus. This virus is extremely serious and extremely bad. But what I'm saying is a progression of the virus toward hitting a point where we have herd immunity, which is where most maybe 60% or more of the population's already had it. And if that's the case too, then that would also mean that this virus has to move, in order to stay alive, it has to move extremely quickly through the population in order for it to survive. So if it slows down, maybe it'll just altogether disappear. And so if we're far more advanced into this thing than maybe we know, because there might be actually, gosh only knows how many people there might be out there that actually are already getting herd immunity to it and don't even know that they have it. Maybe all they have is a little, maybe just feel off a little bit or something. And they don't even know they have it, though, But other people can possibly catch it off of them when they're like that. And it might have been doing this for quite a long time before we even knew that it was here. It might have already been here. Before we even had, like, maybe our first case or whatever, by the time we saw our first case, maybe it already had thousands of people had it. And maybe by this time, maybe it's much further advanced into the population. Which could mean that this whole thing might be over a lot quicker, too, on the other end. Now, I know this virus has generated a tremendous amount of fear, and an awful lot of the things that it's done, like to the stock market and everything else, are reactions to the fear of this virus. But, once this virus disappears, things are going to start to move advance a little bit more toward a normal, And there are several things about this, if it's true, and I'm just kind of speculating about this, and I'm basing all of this speculation on what I heard from Chris Martenson about this report that came out of Italy, where they tested like 3,000 people, just basically through the population. Well, all these other countries aren't doing that. They're only testing people when the people really showing quite vicious symptoms. In other words, the person is really, really ill or whatever and showing all the marked symptoms of the virus. But what are they? They're not just going out there and testing everybody in the community. And if they did, they might be in for a big surprise, because it might have advanced much, much further than we've ever contemplated. But I know it hasn't advanced to the point of full herd immunity yet. And how I know that is the weak and the elderly that are vulnerable to this virus in a lot of the nursing homes are not showing what would happen if the virus had got to those areas yet. Let's just put it that way, got to those areas yet. Because in Italy, it's getting to those areas right now. It's moving in through the nursing homes. And I think it becomes very clear and manifest when this virus is like moving through an area where people are weak and vulnerable. Then you see it really shows itself, And there's a lot of nursing homes and stuff in the United States and here in Canada too. And the people in them are still fairly reasonably well. They've kept the virus out, which is indicate that the virus hasn't fully advanced through the population yet, even if it is moving silently and stealthily through with all of these individuals that would have asymptomatic cases. So I think the virus is going to continue to advance to a certain point where we reach that mark of 60, 70, 80%, and they have herd immunity. But what I'm basically saying is we might get there a lot sooner than people think. We might have herd immunity to this an awful lot sooner than people think. Maybe before summer's over. the virus might peak and we might see a diminishment in new cases like they're experiencing in China right now. So there is hope ahead. There's a lot of hope that we're going to get rid of this thing. I personally think that probably that's true, that the virus is actually going to reach a peak not too distant in the future, and then it's going to start to go down in the amount of new cases. Now, what about China? Did they really stop this virus? Or uh, or are they suffering through it and not saying anything? You know, I mean, I have big question marks in my head there because during their Chinese New Year's celebration, millions of people left Wuhan, especially when they heard that they were going to lock the city down. And they went out everywhere into China, you know, and it just seems awfully hard for me to believe that the Chinese actually were able to stop something when there is so many asymptomatic individuals out there that can carry the virus, you know. And I'm thinking to myself, maybe the Chinese are just not testing. Maybe they're just keeping their mouth shut, and they're letting their country get herd immunity. I mean, that possibility has went through my mind. I mean, I can't verify anything that I'm saying about that or anything, but it's just a possibility that's going through my mind. That especially if it's true that this virus, if this virus has maybe even millions of people out there might have it right now, but not be showing any symptoms, and only a small minority get extremely ill and have to be hospitalized, considering you're taking a majority of the population. So in China, they got 1.4 billion people, you know. And we saw in Wuhan, a city of 11 million people, we saw that it did fill their hospitals up. Perhaps, for all we know, how will we know if the hospitals in other cities in China right now aren't filling up and the Chinese just aren't saying it? You know, and maybe it's just moving through, and they're just because they don't want to be the pariah of the business world. You know, I mean, think about that for a minute. You know, but anyway, regardless if they did stop it or they didn't stop it, we've got the problem now to deal with over here in the West. You know, and we're seeing from examples of Italy how this virus attacks the weak and vulnerable. We need to be very careful and very vigilant about trying to protect our weak and our vulnerable ones. You know, I think, my personal opinion, is all the nursing homes in North America. I know it'd be a big, but where we should really focus our attention on testing is not so much in the general population. You know, I mean, okay, we test them and we verify that they have the virus or whatever, you know, but more what we should focus our tests on in the United States and here in Canada is nursing home workers. The people that work in the nursing homes, the nursing home nurses and doctors, should have to take a scheduled test for this virus once a week, and we should take the other precautionary measures to exclude the virus from the weak and the elderly that are in the nursing home systems across the United States and Canada. We should focus our testing on nursing home employees that have to work on a day-to-day basis with the people, and we should make sure that they are rigorously tested. And this would be a good place to focus for this next couple months. You know, weekly testing might be a good idea, you know, for all nursing home employees in the United States and Canada. It's something that they should consider. Listen, thank you guys for listening to this show. Like and subscribe. Don't drink sour milk or spoiled milk like I did. Everybody makes a mistake like that once in a while. I'm sure every one of us has reached in the back of the fridge and grabbed that old container of milk and took a swig of it, and this was spitting it out all over the place and say, well, what the heck, It's happened to everybody. Generally it's not too serious, but anyway, thank you guys for listening. Give me a thumbs up. We'll catch you guys in the next video. Bye-bye.